Hey, welcome to Rich Kids Online.
We hope that you enjoy this video.
I've got peace like a river, I've got peace like a river, I've got peace like a river in my soul. I've got peace like a river, I've got peace like a river, I've got peace like a river in my soul. I've got love like an ocean, I've got love like an ocean, I've got love like an ocean in my soul. I've got love like an ocean, I've got love like an ocean, I've got love like an ocean in my soul. I've got joy like a fountain, I've got joy like a fountain, I've got joy like a fountain in my soul. I've got joy like a fountain, I've got joy like a fountain, I've got joy like a fountain in my soul. I've got peace, love, and joy like a river. I've got peace, love, and joy like a river. I've got peace, love, and joy like a river in my soul. I've got peace, love, and joy like a river. I've got peace, love, and joy like a river. I've got peace, love, and joy like a river in my soul. I've got peace, love, and joy like an ocean. I've got peace, love, and joy like an ocean. I've got peace, love, and joy like an ocean in my soul. I've got peace, love, and joy like an ocean. I've got peace, love, and joy like an ocean. I've got peace, love, and joy like an ocean in my soul. I've got peace, love, joy like a fountain. I've got peace, love, and joy like a fountain. I've got peace, love, and joy like a fountain in my soul. I've got peace, love, and joy like a fountain. I've got peace, love, and joy like a fountain. I've got peace, love, and joy like a fountain in my soul. You made the sky above, you made the oceans deep. You have created everything my eyes can see. You made this heart to know your love. I stand in awe of everything you've done. I will live my life to love you more. I will live my life for you, Lord. I wanna hear you speak, follow your lead. You give me everything I need. I will live my life to love you more, I wanna walk in all the plans you have for me and give you praise with every single breath I breathe. You made this heart to know your love. I stand in awe of everything you've done. I will live my life to love you more. I will live my life for you, Lord. I wanna hear you speak, follow your lead. You give me everything I need. I will live my life to love you more. Heavenly Father, above every other, I wanna know you more. Heavenly Father, above every other, I wanna know you more. You made this heart to know your love. I stand in awe of everything you've done. I will live my life to love you more. I will live my life for you, Lord. I wanna hear you speak, follow your lead. You give me everything I need. I will live my life to love you more.
Hey Rich Kids, my name is Mark and welcome to the final week of Live Big. But before we get there, I want you to enjoy your next episode, Talking to a Teen.
Hello, and welcome to another edition of Talking to a Teen. My name is Victor, and today we have
Emma Lehman.
All right, Alma, tell us a little bit about yourself. What grade, what school?
I am a sophomore in high school, meaning I am 16 and I go to Kids High School.
Awesome. Well, thank you for joining us for Talking to a Teen today. Our question is, what does living big mean to you?
Living big means to me that I get to find a way to transform how I see the world. So I not only get to see the good parts of the world, but also the bad parts of the world and kind of self-reflect on what I've been about.
That's awesome. And this has been our final week, and I hope you guys have enjoyed Talking to a Teen. We'll see you again next time.
One of the things I love about God's story is that we see time and time again that He would use the most unlikely people to do big things. And so if you've ever felt like, I'm unlikely, I don't know if God could ever use me to do anything, join the club. I feel that way. In fact, you're the perfect person for God to do something big through. The story we're going to look at today is often called the woman at the well. And why is it called that? Because Jesus talked to a woman at the well. That's how creative that story title is. Well, here's how the story goes. Jesus is walking through this small town in Samaria, and as he's walking down, he's thirsty, and so he sits by a well hoping to get a drink, and as he's sitting there, this woman from the town comes, and she is ready to get water. And something unexpected happens as she's coming to get water. Jesus strikes up a conversation with her. Now, this may not be a big deal for us, because we have a hard time grasping this, but this was a big deal back then because Jesus wasn't supposed to talk to a woman like this, and it's really for three reasons. The first one was that she was a woman and Jesus was a religious leader, and women and religious leaders didn't have conversations like this. The second reason is that this woman had a very bad reputation, and religious leaders, they didn't talk to people, especially women with this type of reputation. And then the third reason was that she was from Samaria and Jesus was a Jew. And once again, this is a little hard for us to understand, but there was a deep dislike for people of Samaria and Jews. And this went back hundreds and hundreds of years that these two groups of people, they just hated each other. And so she checked off all three of the boxes. I don't know if you've ever felt this before, but you were told, whether directly or indirectly, that you weren't supposed to talk to certain people for certain reasons. And as you kind of thought about those reasons, they really didn't make a whole lot of sense. When I was in elementary school, there was a boy named Andy in our class. And Andy was from a family that they didn't have a whole lot. And so Andy would wear the same shirt to school probably 3 or 4 times a week. Andy, they couldn't afford just showers and some of the basic stuff. And so you could smell that Andy wasn't able to take a shower a lot of times. And so people in our class, they just said, you just don't associate with people like Andy because, Andy doesn't smell very good and he doesn't have what we have. Well, I always wrestled with this. It's like, this just doesn't seem right. And so Andy was always by himself. And so one day, we was at lunch and I saw Andy sitting by himself. And I just was like, this just doesn't seem right to me. And so I went over and I sat down with Andy for lunch. And we just started talking. And I started hearing more of his story and all that stuff. And you know what? Andy and I became friends there from that day forward. And I tell you what, it was a really good friendship that Andy and I developed that time. Well, if you've ever had that experience, this is what Jesus was told, that he shouldn't associate with someone like her. But you know what Jesus does anyways? He strikes up a conversation. And they have this very fascinating conversation. Have you ever had a conversation with someone and you were talking about one thing and you later found out that they were talking about something completely different? Well, this is how the conversation goes. Jesus is talking about thirst and water, and she thinks that he's actually talking about thirst and water, but Jesus is talking about thirst and water from the perspective of God. That we're all thirsty for God, and that he is the only water that can quench that deep thirst. And so this is going on for a while, and Jesus is talking about one thing, and she thinks he's talking about another. Well, eventually Jesus, he turns the conversation, and he tells her something that only she would know about herself, but he says it to her. Now, I don't know if you've ever had that happen to you before. I've never had that happen to me before. If that happened to me, I would freak out. Well, she freaks out because she realizes only God could know that. And so she's talking to the very Son of God. And so she runs from Jesus, leaves her bucket of water behind, and she runs to her town, and she starts running through her town. And she's like, hey, I met someone who knows everything about me. And so this town that she's from, where people hardly talk to her, they listen to her. And they follow her back to the well, to where Jesus is. And they sit there, and Jesus then begins to talk to them about who he is and why he came. And eventually almost the entire town becomes followers of Jesus. And so we see this town that would have never talked to a Jew like Jesus, but because of this unexpected person, this woman who no one gave a shot to, God uses to bring this whole community to be transformed by the love and grace of none other than Jesus himself. As we wrap up Live Big, and hopefully it's been a great journey for you, here's the question I want you to wrestle with in your small groups today. How could living big transform the way you live? And what does living big look like for you?
We hope you enjoyed this video. Now, parents, if you would like to kind of talk about this a little bit more with your kids, please head over to our website. There's more resources, devotionals, and a discussion guide.
And if it's your first time visiting, don't forget to click and subscribe so that you can get updates when new videos are added.
That's it. We hope you have a great week. Bye.